You are Locked On Tigers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, that is more like it. How about that? A big series win for the Detroit Tigers, taking down the Baltimore Orioles this afternoon at Comerica Park. Final score 4-2. Two huge home runs from Riley Greene, Keider Montero, a solid effort on the mound. Bullpen takes it the rest of the way, and they don't have to be pretty this time of the year. You just got to get the W. And like I said, a huge series win. Welcome into a live Locked On Tigers postcast. Fired up as always to be with you. My name is Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Jake_Riepma on the screen for you there as well. Formerly with 97.1 The Ticket, the Tigers flagship, now with Locked On Detroit. And what a time of year. We've dreamed about these types of Septembers. We've got meaningful baseball at Comerica Park. The Lions need to figure it out. We'll have our Locked On Lions postcast following the conclusion of that game. It's at halftime right now, and it's all part of the Locked On Detroit network. We thank you so much for making us your first listen and, of course, your post-game destination for these postcasts. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and, of course, on YouTube, Locked On Sports Detroit. Make sure you subscribe. Go ahead and like the video while you're at it. And like I said, it's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every day. And how about a huge shout out to today's sponsor? That's right. The Locked On Tigers postcast is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play just $5. That's right. $50 when you play just $5. It's guaranteed. All right. Deep breath. I know yesterday didn't go swimmingly for the Tigers. We'll put it that way. Offense wasn't necessarily overpowering today, and there's some things to clean up, but you get a win against a good team in the Baltimore Orioles who are not playing their best brand of baseball, but the Tigers, that's another series win. And look, because of the circumstances you were presented with, let's just even go back to August 1st, where you could make the case the Tigers have been the best team in baseball since the conclusion of the trade deadline. And what this team has done to be in a position right now, 2 games out of a wild card spot, they could wake up a game and a half out of a wild card spot, depending on what happens in the Twins game against the Cincinnati Reds. So we'll keep you updated on that. And like I mentioned, we're just going to continue to have ourselves a little Sunday because we've got a Locked On Lions postcast. They need to get their act together against the Buccaneers, a disastrous end to that half. And we're going to try and keep it all straight because, like I said, I tweeted this out. We are doing the dual monitor watching thing. I was stress watching the Tigers, stress watching the Lions. And what else would you want as a Detroit sports fan in the month of September? But let's talk about this one. Riley Greene, can't say enough about how big he was and the day the offense struggled. But my goodness, he gets the 2 home runs, a little extra insurance. And speaking of insurance, I think you got to give a lot of credit to the Colt Keith RBI single in the 6th inning that scored Matt Vierling, because you look at the 8th inning in a 3-0 game with that extra insurance run from Colt Keith in the 6th, then Rutschman gets the home run off Will Vest, a 2-run bomb in the 8th. And all of a sudden, as John Anderson used to say on SportsCenter, there's a throwback to show my age, but the cheese got a little bit more binding in the 8th inning when it became a 3-2 game. But right away, Tigers respond in the bottom half of the 8th with the Riley Greene home run. And any concerns you had about Riley in that slump, I don't even call it a slump, but every baseball player goes through that, a little bit of a struggle. And the fact that he was able to really, he's written the ship since then. I don't think there's any cause for concern. He's been really, really good at the plate as of late. And the hamstring injury and everything else, I think, is squarely behind him and far in the rear view mirror. Now, on the mound, again, Keider Montero, we know what he did his last time out. My goodness, what a performance, complete game, shut out the whole thing. And he wasn't that good today, but gave his team a chance to win. 5 innings, not quite the minimal innings pitch for the quote-unquote quality start, but 5 innings of scoreless baseball. Bullpen does the rest. And again, the 2-run homer in the 8th, a little slip up there from Will Vest, but you look at the rest of the bullpen, Keider Montero gets his 6th win of the season, 5 innings, 5 hits, walked just 1 batter, only the 1 strikeout, so wasn't getting a lot of swing and miss. Then Tyler Holton does his thing for an inning and a third, gave up just the 1 hit, and Will Vest So Holton gave up the double, and that's when Will Vest came in there in the 8th and gave up the home run that made it 3-2 at the time. But Jason Foley really good because he gets the final out in the 8th, and then a really nice 9th inning that really it never felt like what's the term? You weren't as nervous with Jason Foley on the mound there in the 9th because he breezed through that 9th inning so swimmingly, so smoothly. So you chalk it all up, and man, what a series win for the Tigers. A lot of concerns with the offense. I got a lot of that in the last couple of videos that we've done. A lot of the messages saying, even at the 1-0 win on Friday night, that doesn't excuse the poor offense. But hey, we can nitpick, we can cherry pick areas of concern that we're seeing at this time of the year. But I think we would all agree where this baseball team is at is far beyond any of our wildest imagination or even wildest dreams when you look back to where this team was in the middle of the summer. So let's enjoy it. And listen, I want to take a step back from that. I'm not telling anyone how to feel. We all love everybody's opinions. That's what makes this so fun. But the instant reaction to me is, my goodness, you could wake up tomorrow being a game and a half out of a wild card with a huge series against Kansas City, who's the other team that you're chasing in the wild card. So let's just go get a sweep in Kansas City. How about that? Yeah, easier said than done, obviously, but we might see Reese Olson tomorrow. Maybe not even in a starting role. He could have an opener, but there is some conversation about Reese Olson pitching tomorrow. And again, you can't even write a better script for how much fun this has been in the last 2 months as a Detroit Tigers fan. So welcome into a live Locked On Tigers postcast. As always, I want to get to everybody's comment on YouTube and everybody's comments on YouTube. That's how it works, Jake. But we'll get to everybody's comment. If you're listening to the audio only version later on, what a packed Sunday that we have. We'll have a Locked On Lions postcast following the conclusion of the Lions game. So much happening on a Sunday in September on Locked On Detroit, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Let's get to some of those comments right away. We've got a lot of people excited in the comments, and there should be. Darth Tweak, shout out to you. Hell yeah. Jason Walter, good series win. Absolutely. Demetrius McNeil, big day for Riley Greene. Celebrate now. But next stop, Kansas City for 3 big games. I would add that 3 enormous games. Huge. My grandfather used to always say, how big is this game? Huge. He still says that. So yeah, Papa, if you're watching, this game is huge. This series is huge. YouTube user says, just keep fighting and finding a way to win games. Stay focused. I think that's a testament to this coaching staff, AJ Hinch as the manager, Chris Federer. And there was a lot of conversation on Twitter over the weekend, and rightfully so. My good buddy, I saw Tony Paul for the Detroit News talking about this. The Tigers need to do what the Lions did with Ben Johnson, to keep Chris Federer as a member of their staff because he is worth his weight in gold. Pay the man. And maybe Chris Federer's aspirations are to be a big league manager, and he's certainly earned that with the impressive collection of the resume that he's put forth. And if I'm hiring a manager tomorrow, it's Chris Federer, obviously. But if the Tigers and Chris Ilitch and the rest of the ownership group can find a way to keep him in Detroit, he is worth his weight in gold. Pay the man. Rufus Elgato de Baseball. I wish they had an off day tomorrow to rest up. Yeah, I think that this is pointing out the obvious. It's life in the bigs. We love that. But I would always get assigned the Sunday games at 97 the ticket to be in the clubhouse. And it was always, you'd see the ops guys, if you will, packing everybody up on the getaway day on a Sunday. And there's just so much that goes into it. But I think these guys know that's just, it comes with the territory. And I don't disagree with that by any means, but the excitement and anticipation of playing a divisional opponent that you're chasing in the wild card standings, that to me is all you need to say. These are the games that you live for. And Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday hopefully will be so fun. Cannot wait. Nice comment here from Jason Walter. JMO is fast. Sorry, wrong sport. Yeah, we'll get to the Lions stuff later on this evening, so don't go anywhere. That's right. We've got a live Locked On Lions postcast as well. And like I said, I tweeted this out, man. This is the type of Sunday that you just dream about as a Detroit sports fan. So Tigers get the win today. We've got our instant Locked On Tigers postcast 4-2 over the Baltimore Orioles. with the win. The Tigers inch even closer to the Minnesota Twins. And I got to go ahead and say it, the Twins have the tiebreaker. I know. So right now, 2 games. And depending on what happens in that Twins game against the Reds, it could be as little as 1.5. But the Twins have the tiebreaker, which I think there should be 100 and there should be a 163rd game to determine the tiebreaker in the wild card, like they did for the division. Although we have some horrible memories of that game in the Metrodome and Brandon Inge not wearing the ball, getting that where it hit his jersey, got to sell it a little bit. Yeah, but we won't get into that. So Reds 2, Twins 1. That game's in the bottom of the 6th. So I don't think it'll be over by the time we conclude our postcast. But hey, that's one that you keep your eye on. So you need 3 monitors at this point. You need maybe even 4, we'll say. You need the Tigers. You need MLB TV for the Twins game with the Reds. Of course, your NFL stuff with the Lions. That's what Sundays in September are about. I'll stop saying that so I don't sound like a broken record, but you hear the excitement all the way. All right, I want to look ahead to the series in Kansas City in more detail. I want to continue to break this one down offensively with Riley Greene's 2 home runs, and I want to get us ready for what the implications could be moving forward, looking at the schedule all around. That's all coming up next. Don't go anywhere. It's a live Locked On Tigers postcast here on Locked On Sports Detroit. This episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. That's right. We've told you all about FanDuel for a while now. And why wouldn't we? Because FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, the official betting partner of Major League Baseball. You know all the qualifications of FanDuel's, but how about something a little bit different for you right now through September 22nd? All FanDuel customers, let me say that again, everybody, not just new users, but all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. And all you need is a Google account and a current form of payment. It's that easy, and the peace of mind knowing you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. That's right, FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. All right, we are cruising right along on a live Locked On Tigers postcast after culminating a 4-2 victory over the Baltimore Orioles, a series win for the Detroit Tigers. And you look ahead to that series against we just played the Baltimore Orioles, against the Kansas City Royals. And man, all the makings for an AL Central showdown, the type of games you live for. And the last time the Tigers went to Kansas City, it did not go well. Remember, that was I still can picture this clear as day, the Alex Lang meltdown. We haven't seen Alex Lang since. We just talked about him the other day because he was a part of that combined no-hitter where the Tigers almost had a combined no-hitter against the Orioles in game 1. But anyways, it did not go well in Kansas City. I want to make sure, but I believe they were swept in Kansas City. Alex Lang got sent down. Reese Olson got rocked. Yeah. So they lost 8-3 on May 20th, 10-3 on May 21st, and 8-3 on May 22nd. And I remember doing that show on May 22nd, and I just felt like that was another example of this team it's just, they weren't exciting at that time, and it was coming on the heels of that you started to get some momentum because before that, the offense finally broke out in the series in Arizona against the Diamondbacks. But we don't need to do the history books thing. But looking back, this is an opportunity to avenge a really poor series in Kansas City a long time ago. Obviously, it feels like ancient history that long ago, but that's the beauty of baseball. It is a marathon, not a sprint. And then 3 more against these same Baltimore Orioles. Want to keep it moving there. And then the final 6 are the games we've talked about where this Tigers team can make up some ground. Now, Tampa Bay, very tough, but you're at home, and then you got to win the last 3 against the White Sox. What a luxury. Hopefully, what a luxury that will be to play the White Sox in the final 3 games of the season. You can never count. Voice crack. You can never count on winning 3 games in the major leagues, but against the White Sox that at home with a lot to play for, that's a good spot to be in. So the Tigers now with that series win, they beat the Rockies, they beat the Athletics dropped the series to the Padres, salvaged one, took the series against the Red Sox. So what is that? 4 out of their last 5 with the Angels, 5 of the last 6, 6 out of the last 7 with the White Sox. So 6 out of their last 7 series wins. And that's why they're in the position that they are to compete for this wild card. And again, we always talk about the Minnesota Twins, and why wouldn't we? But you look at the rest of the wild card standings, and the Royals, it's not like they're running away ahead of the Twins. Yes, 3.5 is a big number over Minnesota. So the Tigers, from that being 2 games, are actually 5.5 back from Kansas City. And so is it realistic to think you're going to chase down the Royals? No, but can something crazy happen the next 3 games in Kansas City, and this equation in the standings look a whole lot different? Absolutely. And I think that becomes the focus for this Detroit Tigers team. But again, as we've said, really since August 1st, 1 game at a time, all the cheesy coaching cliches. AJ Hinch has this team dialed. Chris Fetter has this pitching staff dialed. And I would like to see the offense do a little bit more. But at this point, the name of the game is winning. It's winning. That's the name. That's always the name of the game, right? All right, a couple more comments to get to for this live Locked On Tigers postcast. And Jordan Ramirez reminding us they've let the Tigers get hot. Yeah, I love that soundbite from Jake Rogers. It seems like, gosh, that might have, was that July or August? I honestly don't know, but it was a summer night. Don't let the Tigers get hot. And they have gotten they've gotten really hot. That's just the way, that's what it is. They've been the best team in baseball since August 1st. They've been the best bullpen in baseball. The bullpen's been really, really good. And the way they've kind of ham and egged it with the openers and not having starting pitching at times during this and utilizing the various arms that they have, it's just this coaching staff doesn't get enough credit. And maybe they do get enough credit, but not enough people are talking about this surge nationally. And I know I didn't want to make necessarily a whole postcast topic out of this, but Scott Harris was on MLB Network. I believe that was Friday. And again, my apologies, Friday. I didn't get to it with it being 1 out away from a no-hitter. We had a lot to talk about as well. But it's almost like Scott Harris, and I give Brian Kenny, who was hosting the interview on MLB Network, a lot of credit. He asked the questions we were all wondering. And Scott Harris, Scott Harris doesn't answer questions for anybody. But the question of, is it now time to spend for the Tigers this offseason? Brian Kenny asked that same question, and Scott Harris just weaseled out of it and said, I haven't even thought about the offseason yet. And we've earned the right to focus on our wild card race, which I do agree with. And then I just thought, again, if you go back and watch, I think Tigers PR even tweeted it out, but it's just another example of our general manager. And he should deserve some credit, because the trades that were made, you get Trey Sweeney, and although he hasn't been great as of late, he's made enough of an impact to be considered part of this organization's potential future. And I know we made a lot of jokes about it throughout the year, and Javi Baez is and forever will be my least favorite Detroit athlete of all time. But it's no coincidence that since he's out of this lineup every day, the Tigers are the best team in baseball. And if you think, if you want to tell me differently, I guess I'll listen, but then I'll just disagree and say no. Having arguably the worst hitter in MLB history out of the lineup, and then your team just all of a sudden getting hot, that's a coincidence? I think not. Now, baseball team game, it takes all 9, it takes pitching, it takes bullpen, this, that, and the other, absolutely. But that certainly has helped. Wow. Didn't know I was going to get into the Javi Baez. Don't call it hate, but the distaste, if you will. But here we are. It's a fun Sunday, that's for sure. All right, we've got one more segment to go. Don't go anywhere. Like I said, Reese Olson potentially pitching tomorrow. We'll talk about that and tie a bow on it and get you ready for Locked On Lions postcast in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. The Locked On Tigers postcast. We'll be right back. Hey, this episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is brought to you by PrizePicks. The most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports is on PrizePicks. And by now, you know how it works, because it's real simple. You simply pick more or less on the player stat projections, 2 to 6 player stat projections. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. You'll watch the winnings roll on in. We've been talking a little bit about football on this Locked On Tigers postcast, but how about these promotions to get you all in the month of September? Now through That's right. The entire month of September, one Caleb Williams passing yard for the Chicago Bears gets you one win on PrizePicks every week in September. That's right. He only needs one passing yards, and it's an automatic win. So basically, you can take that to the bank every weekend in September. 4 weeks of free dubs. Don't miss this deal on PrizePicks because it's gone when September ends. All right, no Green Day in this read. You get it now, though. You can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best way to get in on the action in almost most states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So don't take my word for it. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game. All right, we are wrapping it up on a live Locked On Tigers postcast. A huge series win over the Baltimore Orioles. You absolutely love to see it. Keider Montero gets the win. 5 innings pitched, did not give up a run, and then the bullpen took it from there. Will Vest does give up the 2-run homer, but the offense does enough. Compliments of Riley Greene and Colt Keith to secure the victory. That's what it's all about. 2-run homer from Riley Greene, RBI single from Colt Keith, and another home run for Riley Greene. And you look at the type of year Riley Greene's having, obviously the all-star, but the 2 home runs gives him 23 on the season. You love to see that. RBI-wise, he's got 69. Nice. Colt Keith with 56 RBI. Really good stuff. All right. That said, though, I do think the offense could do more. Just 3 at-bats with runners in scoring position. We got to get more guys on and pose more of a threat against the opposition. But looking at this series against Kansas City, what do we have in store? Potentially, we see Reese Olson tomorrow, which would be huge if the Tigers can get Reese Olson back just in time for, dare I say, a little playoff action. Seth Lugo goes for the Royals. He's been so good this year. 16-8, 2.94 ERA, 169 strikeouts. And then on Tuesday's games, it's Casey Mize. Need a start from him against Cole Reagans, 11-9, 3.32 ERA. And then in the finale, we'll see Skubal, and boy, Skubal after the Tigers. I mean, he got a no decision, but after that game against the Rockies, that's an evening game. So all evening games this week. I guess the Royals don't believe in getaway day games. So Wednesday night will be they're all 7:40 Eastern time starts. So Tarek Skubal, 16-4, 2.50 ERA on Wednesday against Alec Marsh. That's one you got to get. And I think Skubal will come hungry and ready to go in that one. So lots to look forward to. Everything you could hope for in a wild card race. Let's get you an update on that Twins and Reds game before we say farewell and get back to our Lions game. Oh, the Twins have come back to take a 4-2 lead after 6. God, don't love that. Boo. Royals and Pirates all tied up at 2. That game's in the 5th. The Yankees beating the Red Sox 4-2. So that's an important one as well. Guardians up 1-0 on the Rays, and the Mariners and Rangers later this afternoon. But as you look at these standings, again, I know we focus on the Twins because that's the team we're chasing, but the Mariners just a half game behind the Tigers right now. I guess with the Tigers win, maybe that make sure that's updated. 2.5 back. And the Red Sox falling faster, 3.5 back. The Rays almost completely out of it at 5.5 back. So there you have it. Whew, deep breaths. Great to be with you on a live Locked On Tigers postcast. Enjoyed every second of it. Looking forward to a live Locked On Lions postcast after the conclusion of their game against the Bucks. What a Sunday in Detroit. You gotta love it. Thanks so much, as always, for tuning in to Locked On Sports Detroit and a live Locked On Tigers postcast. Make sure you check out the Locked On MLB podcast with host Paul Sullivan aka Sully. He brings the humor. He gets you all set. You'll be ready for the MLB postseason. So check that out. It's on the Locked On Network. You can't miss it. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. And as always, like today's video, subscribe to the channel. We are building something special, your post-game destination for all things Detroit. Locked On Tigers postcast today, doubleheader with the Locked On Lions postcast. Subscribe. Love you guys. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Locked On Sports Detroit. And next time we'll be in a short while for Locked On Lions postcast. See you soon.